Good afternoon, everyone. I'm joined today with Rockford Police Chief Dan O'Shea, and I'm here to give you an update on a criminal investigation. On June 27, 2020, at approximately 11:11 p.m., William P. Gettings was pulled over by Rockford Police Officer Frank Fabiani. During the traffic encounter with Gettings, an altercation ensued, which originally resulted in charges being filed against Gettings. However, upon review of video footage that was captured, all charges against Gettings have been dismissed. Subsequently, misdemeanor battery charges have been filed against Officer Frank Fabiani. He is scheduled to appear in courtroom C at 1 p.m. on August 13, 2020. These charges are merely allegations, and the defendant is presumed innocent until or unless proven guilty in a court of law. Before I take questions, I'd like to just share with you a few rules of professional conduct regarding the prosecutor. So, Rule 3.8 deals with special responsibilities of a prosecutor. The duty of the prosecutor is to seek justice, not merely convict. Rule 3.6 states, it prohibits extrajudicial statements that pose a serious or imminent threat of prejudicing an adjudicatory process. In the context of a criminal prosecution, prosecutors' extrajudicial statements can create the additional problem of increasing public condemnation of the accused. Now, I share those rules with you so that you understand this is an ongoing prosecution and investigation. Questions that I can answer and the chief can answer, we're happy to do so, but I want you to understand that ethically there may be questions that I cannot answer. So with that, we'll take questions.
First, can you spell the officer's last name?
Yes, it's F as in Frank, A-B-I-A-N-I.
Can you talk a little bit about maybe when that video caused the change in those charges to be dropped, or maybe elaborate more on that?
Well, what I can say in general is the state's attorney is charged with prosecuting criminal violations. The state's attorney also has an ethical obligation to review evidence, and if the state's attorney believes that those criminal violations should not be filed, the state's attorney has an ethical duty to not proceed with those charges.
We talk about going over that evidence, and the main evidence in this is the dash cam footage. Will that footage be released?
Okay, I read to you, and the reason I read to you Rule 3.6 is that the state's attorney's office cannot do anything that might impact on a defendant's ability to receive a fair trial, or as the rule indicates, to receive condemnation from the public. So I can tell you, my ethical responsibilities do not allow me to release that footage to the public at this time. The criminal process will proceed and all evidence will be presented in court. At that time, anyone from the public will be available and allowed to view that. But I will not release that in advance because I'm ethically bound not to do so.
Is it possible to have a little bit more information about the officer, like how long he's been in the department?
I think Chief O'Shea can respond to that question, and I'll just step aside. Thank you.
I don't have the exact amount of time, but I believe he's been on about 18, 19 months, and he is on paid administrative leave pending this criminal case and this investigation.
Chief O'Shea, this is a time that police, and in particular here in Rockford, the protesters, especially RYA, have been calling out Rockford police for some time. It's a time that, like I mentioned, police are under fire. What does this do in context of everything that's going on right now? There have been marches around police districts, around the Justice Center. You know, what do you kind of take away from this?
like I've said since I came here, we will hold ourselves accountable. And whether there's protesting or not protesting, and it's not just Rockford, it's happening across the country. And in this particular instance, as in several other instances over the last couple of years, we will hold ourselves accountable. And whenever appropriate, the state's attorney's office will render charges. But as far as this particular having to do with protest, this is individualistic to this traffic stop, to this incident, not relative of everything else.
Chief O'Shea, do you see there being a need for some reform in the way that officers are trained in Rockford, or is there anything in the works for that?
No, I believe Rockford, I firmly believe the Rockford police officers receive top shelf training from our training division. I think they are on the cutting edge of teaching training, and the officers go through it every year. I'm very happy with our training. Is there always room for improvement? Absolutely. And whether we see it or the outside sees it, we're always open to trying to seek what's best. Best for the officers, best for the community. But I think our training division and our officers receive top shelf training.
With the criminal complaint that was at the time against getting service other officers involved, are they potentially facing any charges at all, or if you can maybe talk a little bit about any other people?
Yeah, anything to do with criminal charges is done by the state's attorney's office.
As I indicated earlier, the state's attorney's office reviews evidence to determine whether criminal charges should be filed and against whom. I have done that in this matter. Obviously, if there's additional information that comes forward, I'm open to reviewing that as well because I'm ethically bound to do so. And remember, prosecutors serve everyone in the community. When it says "we the people" and I took that oath, it meant all of the people. Victims, defendants, and the community. And so we have to obviously execute our duties with humility and with temperance, and honestly and fairly in all situations. So these charges today are what my office does all the time. We review the evidence, we follow the evidence, and if charges are warranted, we file the charges. If they are not, we do not file the charges.